Hi and welcome to RC Copter Love. Today I want to introduce you the new M2 EVO MK2 with the OFS3 flight controller. It's complete new and I want to show you from my point of view as an average talented and average experienced pilot, rather beginner, what's the difference of this helicopter. So this helicopter has a complete new flight controller. This is, I would say, is the heart of the helicopter. It is completely new programmed. It's a 2-in-1 flight controller with the ESC and the Flybarless system in one little black box. And the biggest difference is this helicopter is completely programmable. You can customize every aspect of the behavior of this computer, like with a big helicopter, like you know from the M4 and from the M7. So where you have a very sophisticated flybarless system where you can control everything: PID and F gains, expo. Eventually, you can give yourself a little bit dead band to the sticks or eliminate it completely. And you can do this with this helicopter all via a Bluetooth module that you connect with the helicopter. It's included in the set with the M2 EVO MK2, MK2. And you can do everything in the smartphone, very easy. I will not concentrate on this now because I'm personally not a smartphone user. I'm a CAT B25 normal telephone user because I'm against smartphones, but this is a complete different topic. That's just my personal decision. I don't like smartphones, I don't use them. So I will now concentrate in this video on the benefits that every single normal pilot like me have, because you can do many of these changes that do have a big influence on the flight performance also in the flight controller. Like before in the traditional M2 EVO, we know since 2022, this is my first M2 EVO. This is even the first canopy. I never crashed this canopy, so it's still the same. So there you have a set button, and with a 1.5mm inbus, how it's called in English, inbus, and they say, this little screwdriver, which has 6 rounded ends, you can push a set button and you can adjust using the transmitter. You can adjust your settings. For instance, here in this model it was called speed and agility, and in this new model in the OFS3 flight controller, everything is more, we are using the helicopter terminology. So we are talking about roll when we are talking about this axis. We are talking about pitch, not to be mixed with collective pitch. It's the pitch which is in this model still called elevator. We have collective pitch, we have collective pitch angles. We can level the Swashplate, we can level, adjust the servo horns if we have to change, for instance, servo horns, or if we have to, in the worst case, replace the whole servo because we had a very bad crash. I was never on these M2 models replacing any servo. So we have in this model as well a new motor, which is slightly stronger. It has a bigger stator and it has a little bit higher kV. So this was necessary because we have a new, or it's necessary, it works better because we have a completely new tele system, the yaw control. Whenever you're giving pitch pumps, so you give a lot of collective pitch, that the tail does not move to the right side. It was already the actual before M2 EVO had a very good tail performance, but this helicopter with the OFS3 has really the tail performance of a collective pitch helicopter. The other feature we have is a new designed Swashplate with longer, more distance from the center of the Swashplate to the ball links. So you have more Swashplate movement with the same angle, so from millimeter wise. So you have harder reactions on the cyclic. So you have a faster roll rate. This was for me really needed. I was sometimes having difficulties because the M2 EVO was flying a little bit different than my M4 and M4 Max. I have them in my Flybarless system. I have chosen very fast rotation speeds on this axis, so for roll and for pitch as well. And every time when I was not flying the M2 EVO for a longer time, in this summer I was almost only flying the M4 Max, my favorite of all times helicopters. And after such a long break, I had to get used to the slightly slower rotation rates of the M2. And now, with the new OFS3, you can adjust this small helicopter that it flies really exactly the same as your big one. So, as you know, I told you now, it's the M4 Max is my favorite helicopter of all I have, also because of the wide skids. These are part of the Mark II package. So, Swashplate, slightly stronger motor. You can see the difference here. I hope you see it. There's a white print, MK2 Mark II, and set laurels on the motor, while in the middle of the motor here's everything black in the traditional M2 EVO. And these skids, you won't believe it, how much difference they make in visibility. Now, especially in autumn, when everything is a little bit more gray, the grass is not really green, it's rather gray and brown. This white steps so well in front. You see it, probably you see it even here on the table when we have the M2 EVO beside the M2 EVO Mark II. You see the difference, that there's more contrast. And that is what I already loved so much in this beauty. So now, with the Mark II, the M2 EVO Mark II really looks like a small sister of the M4 Max. So this is fantastic. When I was flying the M4 Max, I was so happy when I was flying in front of dark trees, for instance. The white skids were really shining like the sun. When there's few light, the sun is also reflecting in a different way on these white skids. So these are the differences in the view, and I explained you how it will behave different. I am flying these models all the time, so I adjusted my M2 EVO Mark II to very fast roll rates, and it's really acting now like the M4 Max. Another very important feature for anybody who's not yet ready, because I'm preparing for the Bluetooth model and module and the smartphone application. I have to ask my wife, she's filming with her smartphone, if she gives me a smartphone to adjust my helicopter to set it up from new. Some very important difference is that the new OFS3 has the possibility to show you the status of the battery. So when you plug in the battery, there is a row of LEDs. You see them, blue LEDs. I take the rotor away, and they show you this is a full battery. I'm having 95% in this battery because I'm never charging my batteries to 100%. And here we have a battery which has, oh, that was telemetry from my radio. And here we have a battery which has 32%. And I'm taking her in now, and you will see that the battery is not full. You see it here now, only 3 of these LEDs are shining. So you see on the first view, when by mistake you have a lot of batteries, for instance 6 batteries, and you are not really sure, you don't have a battery checker maybe. Sometimes this happens, you don't have the checker, and you don't know if the battery is full, if it's flat. Here with this flight controller you see it on the very first time. So it's on the very first view, because really it's different if you see these all LEDs shining or only 3, or as the status of the battery is even up to 1, only 1. Another feature is now you can even plug this battery in holding the helicopter in your hand. It does not have to be still. It is still binding and it's leveling. I don't know how they made this thing, how they made this possible, because in the former flight controller the helicopter had to stand still. So, as I told you, you can do all the programming via set buttons. I will switch her off now. Via set buttons, you can level the Swashplate. Everything you can do, let's call it traditional, in a similar way like in the M2 EVO you had before. Only that if you are ready for this, you can do much more fine adjustment. You can choose expo, you can give a little bit of deadband if the helicopter is too aggressive for you, if you think. I love very fast and very crisp response. I was working on my stick inputs that they are getting very small, but I'm sure as a beginner I was not able. One thing was not mentioned until now. It's an important difference for some pilots, I don't think many. In the Flight Controller OFS3 in the M2 EVO, there was a small antenna, and this antenna was needed for the OMP protocol, which worked, for instance, with the ready-to-fly first transmitter from OMP, the OMP T6. The M2 EVO is still coming in a ready-to-fly version, but this will now need a small receiver satellite. You can choose if it's a satellite from Spectrum, if it's a satellite from FR Sky, like I'm using now with my FR Sky, new FR Sky radio. If it's a Futaba receiver, you can adjust the receiver which is plugged in the S-Bus connection here on the flight controller. You will need such a receiver, but it's strongly recommended to anyway fly helicopters this way, because then, only then, you are able to use all possibilities which are in the helicopter. When I was starting with this little T6 transmitter and with the traditional OFS3 flight controller with the OMP protocol, was for me very easy, because I didn't have to do anything. I just opened the package and I was able to fly this helicopter. Everything was done. But after I changed to another radio, programmable radio, and a satellite receiver, I have seen at once that the reactions were totally different. So in this transmitter and in the protocol of OMP, there was automatically built in some expo. That means you can move the sticks around midpoint and not a lot of things will happen, or even nothing. if you add some deadband. And this was in this transmitter, in this old protocol, the OMP protocol, it was fixed, built in, so you could not remove it. And here, beginners that are finding that their helicopter is too aggressive because they are still not able to give such fine, you have to learn this. You have to learn to give fine and precise stick inputs. It's not something you have born. You can also, via Bluetooth, you can tame this helicopter so that if you push a little bit of stick, that in the first moment not a lot will happen, and later it will happen more and more. You can also fly with the built-in auto self-level, so it's attitude mode, that self-levels the helicopter. I don't use it at all because for me, in my stadium of flying, this kills my fun, so I'm not using it at all. But if somebody really is beginning, this works now much better. This was an important point of the OFS3, to work on the attitude mode, that it allows you more flying like without it, but still gives you the safety. If you leave the stick, the helicopter will immediately level itself. So our pilots were working a lot on this feature, but if you are later more advanced, you can switch this all off. You can take away this expo that you have given maybe before. You can take away rates, you can adjust rates, you can adjust the gain of the tele system, which is stabilizing the tail when you are giving sudden collective positive collective input. In this new system, the tail almost, I don't know, it can be a millimeter, but you don't see it with the eye. This helicopter really behaves like a collective pitch tail helicopter, like this one here, the big M4 Max with collective pitch, so movable tail blades. So this is all you will find with this new package, and you can really adjust everything to your own needs and to your personal preferences, and this is revolutionary. It did not exist until now. But also, this what I told you with this battery indicator, this is so practically. You don't necessarily have to have a battery meter, and you will at once see, oh, something is not wrong, I took the wrong battery. I had one crash because the battery was failing on me. I thought it was charged, but it was not charged, and I felt that I had too few power in the middle of the flight. So I hope this gives you a lot. The wide skids, the better tail performance. I'm doing now tail pitch pumps, and the helicopter is standing, holding. Also when you are pirouetting, the helicopter stops, locked in. The whole helicopter feels much more locked. It is really as if I would fly a bigger one. And this is so important for us because even if you are not experienced, you will get to this point. And you can, in the first few months or even year, you can tame this helicopter down so that it loses his aggressiveness. And with the same helicopter, with the same transmitter, with the same flight controller, you can make a beast out of this helicopter. So it's all in your hands. You can decide. And if you are not willing to buy, of course, this is a great thing when you want to buy a whole complete M2 EVO MK2, you can buy these components separately. So you will be able to, even if you love them very much, without changing anything else, you can buy the wide skids to make the helicopter more visible. You can buy, if you want to, only the flight controller, but of course the whole effect you will have if you change the Swashplate, the flight controller and the motor. The skids, this is just a matter of taste, but if you buy a new one, you get it anyway with the white skids, which is great. I even think about putting the white skids on my M2 EVO, and I'm sure if once the production in China will manage to fulfill the demand, I will buy an upgrade kit for my M2 EVO so that I have two with OFS3. I hope this is everything what I had to tell you. This is now really my favorite winter helicopter, because in winter I'm not flying the big ones because I need more space with them. It's less practically to bring them to the field in the winter. I like to fly in fields which are very close to my house. So this is my winter beast now. And of course I'm flying them I'm flying one after the other to see the difference at the moment. Yes, this was the new M2 EVO Mark2 with the OFS3 system. If you have any more questions, I give some links to really advanced videos from Jonas Wackershauser, who's really a specialist. He told everything about this. I will prepare the next video how to use it with the Bluetooth module. I have some time because the next video will be in the new year. And I will have some time to prepare myself to download the application for the smartphone of my wife, to learn how to use it, to set my helicopter up, and then I will fly and see how it happens if I really customize the helicopter completely to my wishes. And now we are coming to the end, and I wish you a Merry Christmas and all the best for the next year. We will see us in January. It will be probably around the 3rd of January. That will be the first Thursday in January. And then I will show you how this machine flies after all customized settings. So I hope it will fly exactly like my loved M4 Max. And see you again. This was RC Copter Love. If you like this video, give us a like. If you like it very much, subscribe to our channel, and see you again.